Hi, welcome to Punch Perfect Boxing and welcome to Fight Talk episode 2. Just before we start, got to do a bit of housekeeping. If you could hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, all helps the channel grow and we're doing really well. So if you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. Right, tonight we're going to have a look at Chris Eubank versus James Degale. Chris Eubank Jr versus James Degale. We're going to have a look at both fighters and their history, short look, and then we're going to have a breakdown of possible ways the fight could play out. Now I'll start with Eubank Jr. Now, very strange career. I can't make head or tail of it, and I don't think too many people in the boxing world can make head or tail of it. When he started to come and spar in the pro gyms and first turn pro, everybody had glowing reports about him. Moved well, good combinations, a lot of power, and first part of his pro career, when he was fighting lower level guys, he was doing really well. And you know, he mimicked his father's swagger, jumping over the top rope. And I thought, yeah, you know, it's all front, but, you know, could make a very, very successful career. And he looked good. But again, you can't really tell when he's fighting lower level opposition. Then he had the fight against Billy Joe Saunders. And for me, I saw serious flaws in his boxing ability. For the most part, he was comprehensively outboxed by Billy Joe. And whereas he came back in the second half of the fight with his aggression and his ability to brawl and stuff, and you know, don't get me wrong, he's got a modicum of boxing skills when he likes to use them, but for too much of the fight he was hesitant, he looked very stiff. Billy Joe was having his way with him, and like I say, in the second half Billy Joe seemed to fade a little bit and Eubank came on, but he was outboxed by Billy Joe. Now, went away, did various things, looked good, again came back, rebuilt his career. Then he went up to super middleweight. Now, I saw an interview with Ronnie Davis the other day, and even Ronnie Davis said he's not big enough for a super middleweight. And this is one of your camp saying this. And maybe he's gone up there for the money or whatever, but Ronnie Davis said he's ideally suited to be a middleweight. A middleweight, you know, he's very strong, very powerful, but there are much bigger guys at super middleweight and he'll struggle. So he went and fought George Grosz, and again, serious flaws in his technique, his footwork, his ability to do, you know, to do simple things like work off the jab, just basic footwork, basic combinations. He really struggled against George Grosz. Don't get me wrong, he had a few moments of success against George Grosz. I mean, George went back in straight lines and Eubank came straight in and brawled with him and got some good shots away. But again, for me, he was comprehensively outboxed by George Grosz. I mean, Eubank's career's gone all over the shop. It's gone up, it's gone down. It's supposed to be fighting Golovkin. His dad said he can fight anyone from super middleweight right through to light heavyweight. For me, Eubank needs to stay at middleweight, and he needs to listen to his trainers. I mean, he's had people there like Ronnie Davis, had him there all his life. And if you can't listen to Ronnie Davis, you're in serious trouble. He's had Chris Eubank. He's had Adam Booth for a period of time. And again, he doesn't seem to listen. I mean, there's a bit during the Billy Joe fight when Ronnie Davis says to him, "What are you doing? You've got every punch in the book." And Ronnie Davis is no mug. Ronnie Davis is a very, very good boxing trainer. He trained Eubank Sr for many years. And Eubank Jr just doesn't seem to listen. I know he's got a new coach, the name escapes me for the time being, but he needs to listen. He needs to listen, he needs to go back to basics, he needs to learn to work behind the jab, do the simple things, And when it comes down to it, and you need to brawl, and you need to fight, and you need to get in there and mix it up, then do it. But against the top level fighters, as we've seen against Grosz and Billy Joe, he's only going to have a modicum of success. So again, hopefully you'll listen to his trainer, because I do think Eubank Jr has got a lot of skills and he's got a lot of talent. So let's see where he goes with this. But like I say, his career's been all over the place. I can't make head or tail of it. It's been very higgledy-piggledy. It's been here, it's been there. He's going to be doing this, he's going to be doing that. And it just seems to, a lot of it seems to have ended, you know, like a damp squib. It just seems to have all petered out. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Moving on to James Degale. Now, James Degale, as we know, had a great amateur career, won the Olympic gold medal, turned pro, and he seemed to be going really, really well. And I thought I had a lot of high hopes for James Degale, because I think he's a very, very skillful fighter. And maybe this is a thing that Eubank Jr should have done. He should have stayed in the amateurs, got his skills, learned his trade, you know, got those basic skills down pat, had a longer amateur career than he did. But James, like I say, he's had a great amateur career, turned pro, seemed to be going along really, really well, and he's got a lot of skills, James. Then he came up against his nemesis, George Grosz, and it was a strange fight. George Grosz had the best game plan for James on the night. He moved, he didn't stay in one position. Most of the fight, it seemed, again, neither of them seemed to be getting to top gear. George Grosz had a great game plan, nullified James. James, I think, was very fueled by emotion in that fight, where George seemed to have his emotions under better control, and I think James was very, you know, tight and stiff. And George's game plan to keep moving, to keep creating angles on James, not to let James set his feet, control James's jab with his lead hand. George Grosz is orthodox, James is southpaw, and just keep controlling that lead hand and then look for opportunities. And the fight went the way of George Grosz. So James went along, finally won his world title against Andre Dirrell, fought brilliantly. Again, there was periods in there where he turned off, and I think James has a tendency to do that, especially when he's on top, turning off, you know, just coasting a little bit and making a few mistakes and stuff. And I think again in the Badou Jack fight, again James seemed to be having his success and then just turned off. And whereas James then comes again later in the fight, I've seen briefly the highlights against Truax, and James just didn't seem to be at the races there. It was a very different fighter to the guy who fought Andre Dirrell and the guy who fought Badou Jack. And James just didn't have the sharpness. He didn't seem to have much mobility. But in boxing, you know, there's always somebody that's your kryptonite. That's always somebody that, and sometimes it's the most unexpected boxers that give us the most problems. Ali had it, Leonard had it. You know, many of the great fighters come against a guy who it's just wrong for them, and you know, for whatever reason they can't get on top. But James won the title back, and now he's in a position where he can pretty much call the shots, and I think he's in the downside of his career. So how would the fight play out? Now, what I'd like to see James do, as James for me has got the better boxing IQ and the broader array of skills, what I'd like to see James do is, again, Eubank's orthodox, James is southpaw. I'd like to see James occupy that lead hand of Eubank's, not let him set up anything. And when the time's right, come in, quick sharp shots and get out. James has the superior footwork. Eubank doesn't. He can be very static at times, and Eubank likes to come forward in straight lines. So if James keeps the movement from side to side, he does a lovely pivot. Once he's moving out to his right side, James does a lovely pivot to create space and create distance. Like I say, James has got the superior footwork. What I don't want to see James do is get in there, jab his way in, and then get into a brawl with Eubank, because sometimes James pulls out and he can get caught on the way out. and also he has a tendency when he's throwing 3s and 4s to also drop his hands, and he gets caught. If you look back at James's fights, yeah, he comes in 1, 2, and maybe a hook off of that, and then he gets caught, and he can get caught on the way out. If he's going to come in with Eubank, I think he needs, once he's in there and he's landing the shots, he needs to either smother Eubank or 1, 2, maybe a hook off of that, and then get out. Because I think James' footwork is much more superior to Eubank's. Like I say, Eubank likes to charge in a straight line, and if James can keep that off balance, that'll be fantastic. I think when Eubank does jab, I think James again has got the speed and the footwork to slip that shot or block it and then come counter over the top with his own jab. So a lot of positives for James, but like I say, once he's in there, he needs to smother Eubank. And the other thing which George Grosz did a lot of, when he's in close with Eubank, you notice that he tied him up and he put his chin on Eubank's shoulder. That negates Eubank holding and doing the uppercut. Eubank likes to wrap his hand around the shoulder maybe and uppercut through the middle. So with all of that, I think James needs to get his chin on Eubank's shoulders. He doesn't need to get involved in a war. I think James is brilliant coming in behind the jab, and he'll change levels and then he'll throw the backhand. So he'll jab, come in, jab again, double jab, and then change levels and then come in with the backhand. And I think if James can do that, exit out either left or right, preferably the right. He also needs to establish lead foot dominance. So Eubank's lead foot is there out of the orthodox stance. James' lead foot is there. James needs to keep his lead foot out on the side of Eubank's, because that will allow James then to step in, gives him the space then to step in with his right foot and land the other shot. So Eubank's foot, lead foot, James's lead foot, keep moving around, step outside, and it gives him that perfect opportunity to step forward and throw the backhand and connect with Eubank and then get him out the way. Do not get involved in a brawl with Eubank. Now Eubank, if Eubank wants to win this fight, he needs to make it into a brawl. He needs to make it into a street fight. He needs to be there in front of James. He needs to come in, somehow get inside that distance, bob and weave, get inside that distance, slip the jab, get inside and make it into a street fight. Use those uppercuts inside if he can get away with it. Brawl, bash away to James's body. Yeah, make it into a street fight, because Eubank will keep coming, will keep coming, and will keep coming, and will keep coming. James doesn't want to get into an inside fighting scenario with Eubank, because Eubank is adept, like I said, throwing those uppercuts in and punching and doing those short, sharp hooks, which James is susceptible to. So, keys to victory for James is to keep moving from side to side, short 1s and 2s. Like I say, once he's there, he's landed those shots, either tie up or pull out, but don't pull out in a straight line, because Eubank, if you look at the Grosz fight, caught Grosz as Grosz was stepping back. So he either needs to bob, weave, or like I say, get that lead foot dominance where his foot's on the outside and then he can exit on the right. Just takes a step over and a pivot and he's out of harm's way. He needs to use his superior footwork against Eubank at all times, doesn't want to get involved in a brawl. And if they're really close to each other, like I said, he needs to put his chin on Eubank's shoulder and negate that uppercut. Keys to victory for Eubank, needs to make it, unless he's improved hand over fist and his footwork's improved, his jab's improved, then he needs to make it into a street fight. He needs to come in, bob, weave, slip punches and get in there and make it into a close quarters street fight. And that's the way I think Eubank Jr will win. Asking me who I think will win, I think from what I hear in sparring that James is back to his best. Seems very sharp, very switched on, and I think he'll definitely be up for this, as there's no love lost between either of the fighters, and I think James will take it. I think James, if he sticks to his boxing, his superior skills, and like I say, just make sure he's accurate, he's sharp, his footwork's on point, he moves Eubank around the ring, I think James will win. But if it's a street fight and James is not at the races, then I think Eubank has a great chance of winning this, because he will come in and he will brawl, and you know with Eubank's engine he will go right to the very end. So a good fight in prospect. And just one other little thing on the fight is that I know it's on ITV box office. Now, a guy on TalkSport, I think his name's Jack Catterall, said a very, very good point. Why not, instead of making this pay-per-view, put this on primetime ITV, maybe at 10 o'clock after all the Strictly Come Dancing or the X Factor or whatever, and make it into an event. You're going to get so many people watching it, you'll get the advertising revenue, and it will bring boxing to the masses. You know, it's open to everybody. It's not just stuck away there on ITV box office, which by the way is a nightmare to try and get. I tried to get my ITV box office and it is an absolute nightmare. So you're missing a trick there. Put it on primetime TV. So get these people built up on primetime TV. You're going to get a massive audience, and if these people become fans, then they're going to transfer over to ITV box office. So I think get boxing out there, because this is the best time for boxing, especially in the UK. Everybody and their uncle, you know, is involved in boxing, it seems, these days in the UK. So get a match like this, which will draw millions, especially if the publicity's right, there's a bit of trash talking and stuff like that. Get it on ITV, prime time, 10 o'clock, yeah? Put the undercard away on ITV4 or whatever. Build these two up, build this fight up. And like I say, it'll be a great grudge match. It will pull in the casual fans, and then once you've established this and maybe another fight like this, then draw them over to ITV box office, because you'll have them hooked. And what with all the other fights that have been happening on ITV, you'll get a massive audience, you know, and ITV could well be ITV could well be in the forefront of, you know, boxing in this country. But you'll get a massive audience. So I'm really excited about this fight. I think it's going to be a lot better than people think, and let's see where it goes. So thanks for watching. Like I say, please like and subscribe us and help us keep building the channel, and I'll see you in episode 3. Thank you very much.